Democracy Watch, Mark, with everybody focusing their attention on Epstein, there is one person who is alive right now who really does have all of the answers, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell, who's right now under the custody. Or how could the DOJ, conversely, be helpful for her if they have a vested interest in keeping her quiet?
Right. So, her status has very recently become a central focus for a few reasons.
Of the Bureau of Prisons. She's in federal prison right now, serving out a 20-year prison term. And so what is the DOJ able to do as far as she's concerned in terms of I don't want to say interfering in this case, but how could she be helpful to the DOJ?
What do you do when your past friendships come back to haunt you? Donald Trump might have the answer. And spoiler alert, it's not pretty. Ghislaine Maxwell's family just dropped a huge statement, and it's shaking the walls of Mar-a-Lago. Maxwell could be ready to spill secrets that Trump would rather bury. From 14 phone numbers in Epstein's book to his shifting promises about the infamous client list, everything's unraveling. But here's the kicker. Maxwell might testify before Congress. What does she know that could make the MAGA crowd start sweating? Stay tuned to find out.
A lot of us who were otherwise not following these filings followed it very carefully, and the Department of Justice stood by the prosecution and said that her petition should be denied. So first is, by sheer coincidence, and it is actually by sheer coincidence, the Department of Justice's response to her petition to the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn her conviction. Where we stand as we are recording this is that the Department of Justice has taken the position that her conviction was correct, it was proper, there was nothing wrong with it, and that conviction should stand.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
Obviously, I start with that because the most obvious thing that we have seen Donald Trump do is he has abused the pardon power, right? So Donald Trump could grant a pardon. There is nothing that prevents Donald Trump from having word delivered to her that if she says or doesn't say certain things, he will deliver a pardon. He is immune from prosecution for bribery or anything like that. And like I said, the pardon power has really been held to be absolute. And the Supreme Court has largely said that the pardon power is absolute. So, it would be extremely untoward. It would be, problematic politically and from a variety of perspectives.
Ghislaine Maxwell's family has broken their silence, and their statement should have Trump wishing he'd stuck to real estate. They're claiming her trial reeked of injustice and hinting at taking her appeal all the way to the Supreme Court. But that's not the part keeping Trump's team up at night. Maxwell has reportedly told some of her contacts that she's ready to reveal what she knows about Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Names, details, the works. And guess whose name refuses to stay out of that conversation? That's right, Mr. I barely knew the guy, Donald Trump. Let's set the scene. Trump's ties to Epstein aren't exactly hidden. Epstein's infamous Little Black Book, that goldmine of contacts, had a staggering 14 different numbers listed under Trump's name. 14. Let's be honest, most of us don't even have 14 people in our entire contact list.
So, if the Department of Justice, the Bureau of Prisons decided, we are moving you to a less favorable facility, that is something the Department of Justice can do.
And then there's Trump's bizarre 2002 quote where he called Epstein a terrific guy and complimented his taste in women on the younger side. Imagine saying that out loud and thinking it's a compliment. Fast forward to the Epstein scandal exploding, and Trump immediately tried pulling the classic "we weren't even that close" move. But that apology tour didn't clean up much, especially since photos of them together at lavish parties kept popping up like bad Facebook memories. Here's where it gets messier. Trump's attempts to distance himself from Epstein are almost laughable. It's like watching someone frantically try to shove an elephant into a broom closet and thinking no one will notice the trunk sticking out. The more he tries to act like Epstein was just a guy he said hi to at a dinner party, the more obvious it becomes that the connection runs deeper than Trump would like to admit. So, what does Maxwell know? And why does Trump, along with his team and followers, seem so terrified of those Epstein files being unsealed? If Maxwell actually testifies and spills everything, this could turn into the scandal of the century. And guess whose name keeps circling the storm? Stick around, because the political fallout is even worse than you're imagining. If Ghislaine Maxwell testifies, the fallout won't just touch Trump. It could send shockwaves through the entire MAGA base. Maxwell's potential testimony, especially about Epstein's network, is enough to make any politician squirm, but here's the twist. The GOP, despite controlling Congress, seems suspiciously quiet. Why? They've got the power to dig into Epstein's empire with subpoenas and hearings, yet no one's rushing to get Maxwell in front of a committee. Are they shielding Trump, or is there something they really don't want uncovered? It's not like Trump didn't promise action before. Back during his administration, he went full Carnival Barker about transparency on Epstein's files and hinted several times that the so-called client list would be revealed. His people even teased it, throwing breadcrumbs to the public only to backpedal. By the end of it, his administration outright denied those documents existed. I mean, talk about gaslighting an entire news cycle. And let's be real. It's not just Democrats who found this suspicious. Some of Trump's own supporters wanted answers, but they got nothing except more questions. Now let's talk about why Maxwell is such a wild card. Unlike most people caught in these high-profile scandals, she didn't take a plea deal. That means she could go straight to Congress and spill everything. No NDAs, no restrictions. At this point, someone should probably be checking if Trump has chucked his smartphone against a wall yet. And remember, he once reportedly thought about pardoning her. Imagine that. Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. His advisors obviously shut it down, telling him it would have been a PR suicide mission, but why even consider it? What valuable secrets does she know that made him pause? And that's where things get dicey. If Maxwell starts naming names, it's not just Trump's reputation that's on the line. She could implicate some of the GOP's biggest players, hurling the MAGA ship straight into an iceberg. The real question is, what bombshell is she holding on to that's got Trump's allies scrambling to keep her quiet? Maxwell's potential testimony isn't just another celebrity scandal. It's the grenade that could blow apart the Epstein web of secrets. Her family's claims about her unfair trial aren't just legal posturing, they're a warning shot. With no plea deal to bind her, Maxwell's ready to talk, and the whispers surrounding those involved have their volume dialed way up. Trump's team has danced around Epstein's shadow for years. But if Maxwell speaks, that dance turns into a full-blown sprint for cover. So, what's buried in those secrets that has everyone so desperate to keep them hidden? The truth could change everything.